Alright, so what you're looking at is a 1987 Dodge Ram. Now, first let me say, I'm a do-it-yourself home mechanic, and guys like me usually take pretty good care of our cars and trucks. So, when we get inside the engine, do things like the head gasket or whatever, it's usually not that bad a condition in there. Now, I just had to make this video of what your engine could look like if you really neglect it. Again, this is an 87, it's carburetor. This was originally a school bus and it was converted into a food service truck. Now, the reason I took any of this stuff off is I had the problem that the battery was being overcharged. I put the voltage tester on it and it was reading something like 19 volts. Now, normally that would be the problem with the voltage regulator. On newer cars that's built into the alternator, but on this it's separate, it's attached to the firewall inside the engine. Now we replaced that, but that didn't fix the problem. So since it was carbureted, I was pretty sure it had an intake leak somewhere. Somewhere it was sucking in air. Plus it doesn't have a tachometer, so I can't see the RPMs, but it sounded like it was always on a high idle. It sounded like the engine was always revved up a little bit. Now it wasn't idling erratically, but when I put the timing light on it, my particular timing light has a tachometer on it, so I could see the RPMs like that, and it was something around 1500 just in idle. Now normally it's only supposed to be in between 850 and 900, I think, but it was somewhere around 1500. So pretty much what it was doing is it had an intake leak, air intake leak from the intake manifold gasket, and that was sucking in air, revving up the engine. It was charging the alternator, you know, making the alternator work harder, and the alternator was overcharging the battery. So that's the problem that we were having. Now, the way I determined that problem was I took a little starter fluid and started spraying it around the intake manifold gasket first. And what happened was, where the leak was, it sucked a little starter fluid in there and revved up the engine even more. So I was able to determine that the steady leak of air going in was what was raising the RPMs. So, but again, I just wanted to make this video real quick of what can happen if you neglect the engine. Now, since I had that problem and I was forced to take the intake manifold off and the valve covers off and all that stuff, I was able to see really how bad it was in there. Now, before I did any of this work, I dumped a motor flush in there. What that is, that's just a little bottle of stuff that you get at Pep Boys at Advanced or whatever, and you dump that in with the oil before you do the oil change, and you just let the car run a little bit while that's in there, and then you drain the oil. What that's supposed to do is loosen up all the sludge deposits and build up and stuff like that inside the engine. Now, once I took everything off, I was able to see that it really did its job. It definitely loosened everything up. I still had to do a little scraping, but it came off. Most of it came off. Now, normally that stuff is not designed to take off this much residue and sludge and all of that. I mean, this is really neglected. But again, it's got 400,000 miles on it, I think, a little over 400,000 miles. It still turns on, it still runs. Again, just a high item problem, and there's a couple other things wrong with it, but this engine's very bad inside. I'm surprised it still runs. Here you can see all of this stuff here. This is all cake, grease, oil, sludge, dirt, metal shavings, all the kind of stuff that's supposed to come out of the engine when you change the oil. Now, again, I'm sure the oil hasn't been changed in God knows how long, and it's been sitting for a very long time. So all of that stuff contributes to this. Now, I mean, this problem is so bad. This is just some of it you're seeing here. I actually cleaned a lot of it out. Then I decided to make the video just so you can see how bad it can actually get. I mean, again, this is with most of it cleaned out. This was pretty much solid blocked all the way around. I don't even understand how these push rods were moving in there. That's how bad it was. You can see here I cleaned this side out. What this is, oil flows into the head, into both heads, through the intake manifold. And you can see here I cleaned it out a little bit. But this side, I didn't start touching yet. They were both like this. Here you can see that this is totally blocked. There's no oil flowing through that. This is all crustified. Now, what's happening is that none of this is being lubricated. None of these rocker arm assemblies, either one of them are being lubricated. The push rods, any of that, because of all of that sludge. So, change your oil, take care of your engine. If you want to get a lot of miles out of it, you definitely got to do the oil changes when they recommend, every 3,000 miles or less. And do a motor flush every so often. And maybe you won't wind up with problems like this. Thanks for watching.